you start the call out with saying, hey, look, it's the end of the year. We got to push through kind of this end. And I think one of the things that is important to recognize is like it's important to celebrate and evaluate and be critical, but also understand why the success of your year or why your years ended how it did. And the one thing I would tell you is the people that are thriving the most in the market today are enjoying that and they're celebrating that, but they're on the horse faster than the guy that's sitting back, kicking his feet up, and taking the entire month of December to do that celebration. So, what's really important that I would tell all of you is like, this is a great time to take perspective and evaluate what kind of year you had, but also the faster you can do that and then get back on track with what you want to accomplish, the better the early part of your 2024 is going to be. And we talk about this oftentimes as a group and as a team, but a lot of the people that have slow first quarters are the people that get to Halloween, Thanksgiving, the weather shifts based on which market you're in, and they let the market dictate how much business they close the year with, how they finish the year. And then they look and say, oh man, I can't wait to get ready and jump into January of 2024. And if you guys can keep your head down and you can keep seeking opportunity, there is opportunity, there is business, there is market share that you can capture today. And the people that you're capturing today, they could be transactions that are going to be closing at the end of the year, or those are people that are going to be have goals to purchase a home by the spring, by the early part of the year. And those are relationships that you can foster and facilitate through the holiday season. So these are people that you could be reaching out saying, hey, happy Thanksgiving. You could be saying, hey, happy holidays. You could be saying, hey, happy New Year. You could be finding all these ways to strengthen a relationship to put you in a position to be successful and have a great first quarter where so many people hit that end of fall, the weather change, and it's that I don't really want to work type energy. So that'd be the first thing I want to talk about here. So let's jump in a little more here. John, do I have screen sharing capabilities?
You should. Let me make sure you have that. Yeah, your co-host. Go ahead.
You don't want that. You don't want that. Let's see. Nope. Hold on one second. Some of you guys know I'm the most tech savvy guy you'll ever come across. So Austin's laughing in the back because he knows. Cool. Can you guys see this?
No.
Your screen sharing is paused. Resume share. Why can't?
There you go.
You guys good?
Yes, sir.
No. Okay.
I got it.
Attendance. It's not. It's just.
What?
No.
Hang on.
Let me try again.
No, I can see it, Alex. You're good.
It's saying at the top my screen share is paused.
It's on there. I'm seeing your email.
All right. I don't want you to see my email. If I leave, hold on one second.
Let me cancel it and then I'll re-give it to you.
Yep. Bam. How about this?
I'm just.
You guys see that?
Yep, we can see it, buddy.
You did it. The tech guy always wins. All right, cool. So let's jump into this. Little background on me. I got in the real estate business in 2012. I was 3 jobs in 3 years out of college. Struggled from an identity perspective to figure out what direction I was going to go. And when I got into real estate, the market we had come out of the crash, and I had 3 major goals. And it's important to recognize what these 3 goals are because they drive how I operate my business and run my team today. Goal number 1 was to create a recession-proof business. Goal number 2 was to have a business that would allow me to be a present husband if that time ever came. And fortunate for me is it has come. And then lastly is when I had kids, I wanted to be a present dad. And my wife and I, we had twins in June of last year that are 18 months old. And so all three of those things have been tried, tested, and we've proven true that I've attained all those goals, but those are individual things that drive how I operate and run my business. Okay. In 2012, when I got in the business, a little bit of backstory. The first 5 months I was in the business, I went broke. I had to take a $5,000 loan from a friend of mine, and I lived in a house in a decent part of town. It had a hole in the ceiling. I had a gas leak from the range, and when I tell you I was like broke and bottomed out, I was broke and bottomed out. And so all of those things are not to say that hey, look where I've come, but it's to say, guys, I've been at the very bottom. It was awful. This is a quick story, and then I'll dive into the market. But in 2012, when I was broke as a joke, I'll never forget this. My parents came and visited me. They knew I was struggling, and we're an Italian family, and they roll in. My dad's got basically like half of a cow in a cooler, and he's like, put it in your freezer. Cool. And this house was so terrible. The appliances rattled and hummed and all this stuff. And so I come home one day and the fridge stopped working, and it looked like there was a murder scene in my kitchen. All the meat had thawed. Everything was bad. There's blood all down the front of the refrigerator. And it was kind of this like, Alex, are you like tired of it yet? Like, are you done? Like, are you ready to change? And so for those of you that are like, I can't afford, or I don't have the money, or it's not as easy for me, or it's easier for you, I would tell you I've been there. I've stared down the barrel of a checking account with nothing in it. So I totally understand where you're coming from. When I took a loan, I took a $5,000 loan from a friend, made me take it from his hands in the bank. And the bankers thought we were making a drug deal is how pathetic it looked. So anyways, jumping to it, I have been there. I feel you. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to embrace all of this change that we're experiencing.
Alex, really quick, is there any way you can make me co-host? Because I gave you the full host. That way I can kind of let people in. I'm getting some text messages from some people.
I just let some folks in. How do you participants?
Yeah, just click on my name next to participants, and you should see a thing that says make me co-host.
Got it. There you go.
Thank you.
Cool. So one of the questions I ask all the time is, what are you willing to do to grow through the market conditions that exist? And so this question is really interesting, right? So like we all have our goals, we all have our benchmarks of what we want to do, and we all have these big dreams, right? But all of that is pie in the sky unless we understand what we're truly willing to do to attain those goals. So my question for all of you is, what are you really willing to do? So if I were to ask Jared Cowan today, what are your goals for 2024? And he said, I want to make $1 million. And if you know Jared, you would know that that's a real possibility for him. But my question would be, what are you willing to do to get there? Would you get up at 5:30 in the morning? Would you work 60 hours a week? Would you call for sale by owners and expireds? And oftentimes we set these goals, and the goal is great, but the goal is only worth its weight if you have your habits, attitudes, and behaviors and the tasks that you're willing to do to help you attain those goals through the market conditions. We're so programmed relative to 3 to 4 years ago, where a client would call you and say, I want to write an offer today. And instead of educating a client on what they needed to do to get a property, you would call an agent and you would say, how do I get this deal under contract versus everybody else? And so working differently is what we're all asked to do right now. I think there's a ton of agents that are learning how to do the job all over again. So my question for a lot of you guys is, what are you truly willing to do to grow and evolve through this market? Skip past this. And so we're going to talk a little bit about doubling down on your habits, attitudes, and behaviors. So your habits are what you actually do every single day. Your attitude is how you think, and your behavior is how you do it. Okay. So if I want to have six-pack abs, but I have a bad attitude about it, and I don't provide a ton of energy towards being healthier, and I eat chips on the couch every night at 10 o'clock, the results speak for themselves, right? So a quote that I find really timely for all of us: the chains of habits the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. And I think it's really timely to read something like this and to understand something like this, simply because look at all the bad habits, and look, you should do some sort of self-reflection to look in the mirror and say, what bad habits have I created in 2021 that I'm still taking part in, or 2022, or what things do I do today that I wish I didn't do anymore? And so for a lot of us, it's like going back to the six-pack abs joke. Like, I look at my life, and like I said, my wife and I, we have twins. And when we put the kids to bed at 7 o'clock, I come downstairs and am typically so burnt. I lay on the couch. I binge two shows. It's 9 o'clock. I get up and I go to bed. But what I've noticed recently is that I have other goals and aspirations that I want to do. And so I've started to make the decision of I have to use the time from 7 to 9 p.m. better than watching a show. So the conversation is not just an internal conversation of, Alex, you need to do more, but it's something that's to my wife, who's a partner who I spend that 2 hours with. So it's, hey, can we watch the show in the basement so I can walk on the treadmill? And if you want to sit on the couch and watch a show, you can. Or if you don't want to watch the show either, we can both do something physically fit in the basement. And so those are the habits that you need to change to help improve your business. And I like to talk about this all the time. And look, we live in a world where technology rages strong. Everybody has a YouTube channel that is paying them a zillion bucks, and they want to sell you the dream on how to do it. Everybody's got the get rich quick scheme. And what I would tell you guys is that real estate has been built on basic pillars for years and years and years. And what I would say is that social media works. YouTube works, but so does calling FSBOs, so does door knocking expired listings, so does prospecting your sphere of influence to say, make sure you file your homestead and your mortgage exemption, and make sure your taxes are all online, but also happy holidays, or hey, I'm just checking in. I saw your kid did this, and I just want to say that's totally awesome. It's got to make you really proud as a parent. Those things work. In addition to that, so do open houses, and they work on Thursdays, and they work on Fridays, and they work on Saturdays, and they work on Sunday. And the only time open houses don't ever work is when you don't do them, and when you do them and you're unprepared. So I would say that you should be focusing on generating income. What are the things that are going to pay you? And these are opportunities here, whether it's farming, paid leads, everything on the list here. You should be focusing on ways to make more relationships. So if you start the year and you have a database of 50, just a small circle, all of these things are methods and ways to grow that sphere. And so at the end of the year, maybe your sphere size is doubled. Can you double it the next year, and the next year, and the next year, until you want to hang it up and get out of the business? Because you choose to, not because you're forced to. And so something I have at the bottom here, relationships over transactions. Nothing here says focus on sales. It's focusing on income generating behaviors. Income generation is done by fostering more relationships. Sorry. The other thing I would encourage you guys to focus on is your triple C's, your triple D's. Triple C's, commitment, so engagements in marriage, children, births, empty nesters. Do you see people moving out? Do you see this on social media? Do you see it on Instagram? Do you see it on LinkedIn? And then career changes, new job, relocation, promotion, things like that. And then your triple D's, downsize, divorce, and death. So if you're watching these things on social media, these are invitations to make a connection. And it's not the connection that oftentimes a lot of realtors are going to do. It's not, hey, I saw you had a baby. How's your house? It's, hey, I saw you had a baby. That's so amazing. Is the mom and the baby healthy? Can I bring you a meal? What's your favorite restaurant? I'd love to send you guys a gift card. How can you make a connection that's outside the box and actually care about the relationship and not the transaction? If you can focus that way, these opportunities are everywhere. Get on your Facebook. Facebook is the self-promotional website of the world. Get on there, watch it, follow it, and then instead of just like living in people's threads, send them a text offline, give them a phone call, shoot them a nice message, shoot them a video message. Hey, it's Alex. I just want to reach out. I saw so-and-so passed away. I know it's a terrible time for you. If there's anything I can do to help, I'd love to drop off a meal or be helpful. I'm here as a friend. That's all you have to do. And people will never forget those things. It's not about, oh, when I needed something, Alex called and said he would be my realtor. Alex was a friend. Alex cared. And if you could care more about a relationship, the transactions will always follow you. The triple C's, triple D's, these are great, guys. And what these do is you're focusing on people that have to move, not people that want to move. So if you got a job, let's just say you had, when my wife and I had twins, we had to move. Had to move. That is different than wanting to move. I didn't care about interest rates. I didn't care about a house price. I didn't care about anything. What I cared was having an arrangement in my house that was satisfactory for my wife and kids, that was suitable for our family. So if you can focus on the needs to move, if some of you guys are working with clients right now that you can't get over the hump, or every time you get to the 5-yard line, they fumble or they want to punt, you guys have too many clients that want to move, that are focused on interest rates and payments. You need to find people that need to move. Triple C's, triple D's take care of that. So we'll get into attitudes right now. And why don't we use this as a breaking point? Does anybody have any questions? Are there any conversation or any questions in the chat that need answered or anything like that?
No questions in the chat, but everything's fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Oh, hey, Drew.
Alex, can I mention something real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Guys, I sent 62 burp cloth bib and onesies last year for babies that are born. So like follow your people, and as these babies are being born, like if you can send a gift, guess who they're going to call when it's time to move, because they just grew out of their house. So I can put the info of the person that I use for that. It's $26. Anybody in Indianapolis, it's $26, and then there'd be shipping on top of that. So we'll put the contact in here, and I'll send you some pictures so you guys can take it and run with it. I know Alex has done it a bunch and it's worked out.
Yeah, it's a great gesture. What's so funny is when your client sends you the picture that says, hey, Alex, thanks so much, and it's the baby in the onesie or using the burp rag. It's purposeful. It's meaningful. It's a great way to get back to your clients and let them know that you're thinking about them. So we'll jump into the attitude section here. And the attitude, there's a quote here on the screen: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And what this means is oftentimes before we get to the nuts and bolts and we get into the nitty gritty of things, like everybody right now talking about how the market's crashed. We've gone through a market crash. We faced a recession. Transactions are down. As a realtor, my team, we've sold more houses in 2023 than we did in 2022. And it's more transactions than I've ever been a part of in any single year in the world. And if you would have asked me if I would have thought that in 2022 in the summer when rates went from 3 to 7, I would have told you, boy, oh boy, I don't know if we'd be able to do that. And so we often tell ourselves, and we create this narrative of struggle and of adversity when it really doesn't exist. The attitude that you can control and operate by just getting up and doing what your job is every single day is the attitude that wins. So I focus, and I've done a training on this, and I could talk a little bit more about it if anybody has any questions, but I like to operate with a neutral mindset. We're never too high. We could sell 10 houses in a weekend. And you can ask my team. I come into work on Monday and I say, hey, that's really great. That's what our job is. We have 17 people on our team. We should sell 10 houses in a weekend. And some people look at me like, what is the matter with you? But the reality is I never want to get off the horse with that. And so we walk into work today. It's December 4th. We sold one house over the weekend. Different time of year. But I'm going to push the train the same way every single Monday, 52 weeks a year, all the time. And so the expectation never changes. Now, the weeks that we have zero, or the months that are really slow, it's important to step back and do self-evaluations and do internal evaluations of your team. But then it's also important to look and go, what are the uncontrollable factors that are taking place as to why we only sold one house? Maybe we wrote offers over the weekend that we didn't get. Maybe it's December 4th and the buyer pool is much leaner now than it's been all year. Is our team and are the agents doing all the right things? Are there people working in the office, sending notes to clients, reaching out to friends, posting on social media, doing open house? Yep. Well, then I'm not worried about one house, one sale, or 10 sales. That is results driven. I want to be process driven. I want to focus on the habits that our agents and that I have every single day. On the board, on the screen here, I've got 4 book titles. It Takes What It Takes, and then Getting to Neutral. They're 2 Trevor Moawad books. Trevor Moawad was a mindset coach for some of the best college football teams. He did Alabama. He did Florida State when Jimbo Fisher was there and they won a national championship. He's been with Kirby Smart. He passed away a couple years ago, but he also worked with Russell Wilson when Russell Wilson had some of his best, most successful years of his careers. And then Stoicism talks about, again, suffering more in imagination and reality, controlling your mind, controlling your energy. The Obstacle is the Way and Discipline is Destiny are 2 great books by Ryan Holiday that I recommend. They're incredibly helpful. They keep you more flatline versus riding this real estate roller coaster that we so often choose to do. And I would tell you, if you get on social media, take your pick. Somebody will tell you, Grant Cardone will say, it's terrible to be a homeowner. Somebody else will say, you should never buy a house with your own money. Somebody else should say, debt is bad. Somebody else will say, rates are 8, wait till they go down to 5 next year. Well, funny enough, I saw a ton of realtors post the clip that say there's going to be 6 rate drops in 2024. And a lender texted me and said, I would advise your team to be careful about that because that is not set in stone. That is hypothesis. That is speculation. And you can't build a business based on speculation. Behaviors. And this is a fun one. This is kind of getting into your why. And look, here's a picture of me and my 2 crazy kids and my beautiful wife, Maureen. And, you know, as I said in the beginning, it was, I want to build a business that's recession proof. We've done 187 transactions in 2024. I would say that we're there. I want to build a business that allows me to be a present husband. I try to spend my evenings. I try to make sure every single night I can have dinner at home with my wife and my kids. It's important to sit down with our kids, but it's also an important time to recap and connect on a day and then talk about things that maybe we're struggling with or things that we're succeeding with so we can celebrate together. And then I want to be, again, a present dad. 5 to 7 p.m. If you've heard me talk before, that's a pretty challenging time to get me to pick up a phone call or respond to a text. And because that's the time that I get home to work from when I put my kids to bed. And when our biggest challenges have come into work in between 5 and 7 p.m., you're typically going to get a response that says, I will call you after I put my kids to bed. And so that clarity creates authenticity, which creates believability in the message that you deliver. If I tell people that my kids and my family are the most important thing in the world to me, but I'm out 7 nights a week with realtors and I'm working and I'm showing houses all the time, well, is your family the most important thing in the world? Do you spend time with them? Do you travel? Do you do those things? So it's important to be clear in your messaging so you can be more believable and more authentic in what you're sharing with folks. And what I would tell you, another way that I love to do this, it's a task that I did in, gosh, I think it was like 2017. And I took a personal audit and I ran a budget of what essentially created my financial zero. And what I mean by that is how much money was I spending every single month? And so I looked at what my admin expense was, what my personal investments were, what my personal spending was, and what my business spending was. And when I balanced all of that out, I learned that I needed to generate at a minimum $20,000 a month or $240,000 a year based on commission rates and my tracker. That would mean that I would need to do somewhere in the ballpark of $8 to $9 million, which shook out to be somewhere in the ballpark of 36 to 44 transactions, right on the button at like 40. And what that allowed me to do is that when I would work with clients that didn't support my lifestyle, my personal goals, my quality of life, when those things didn't happen, you can make a decision based on where you're tracking in your annual goals to say yes or no to that client. And so you get much more clear about the things that are important to you. And you could take those things and say, look, we are no longer aligned as client and realtor, and you should work with somebody else because you don't support what's important to me. You just expect me to be an order taker. Or there were months when I would run up the score and say, I want to travel, I want to invest more, and I want to purchase investment properties. When I would run that score up and I would have months of 7, 8, 10, 15 closings, I would take that money, I'd put it in the till, and then I'd go buy something that would support my long-term goals of being a better dad and a better husband. So that's how I'd balance all of those things out. And what I would tell you is, while we're pursuing that, you have to pursue those goals with, this is a common thing that I talk about, and it's ultimate conviction. It's the true nature of how much you believe what you're supporting and what you're saying. And so a couple questions I would have for you is, do you believe that buying real estate is the single best investment you could possibly make? And yes, we say it, and yes, we put it on Instagram, and yes, we talk about it with your clients, but do you truly believe it? Do you believe it in your core? Because when you're talking to your clients or you're putting the content out there, you have to truly, in your heart, in your core, in your soul, believe it. And if you believe that, they will believe you. And that is how you lead clients. It's how you lead a team. And it makes you more successful because, look, you're going to get into a house with a client, and the client's going to go, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. I thought I was ready to buy, but I'm not. But you get to tell them, look, here's where rates are. Here's what we speculate rates are going to do. Here's the boxes you told me to check. Here's the boxes that this does check. And you told me you need to move. We need to do this. This is a really good opportunity for you. And a client's going to look at you and say, you know what, you're right. Because you're going to be the steady hand that sets them at ease by believing these things and conveying that message to your clients. Additionally, I have a separate thing here. And look, the brokerage I work for, and a lot of us work for, I would suggest is the best brokerage in the world. And I believe that in my whole soul. And the reason I can run my team and the reason I can do this stuff is because agent collaboration focused by EXP has been the single best changing model for me, my team, and my family. And I'm not going to get into any more of that. If you want to talk more about it offline and or you have questions about it, we can dive into that. But I have a quote here. I'm going to close up with this, and it's a quote we've all heard, and it's another timely one relative to this. And it's hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And so if you go back to the quote earlier about habits and behaviors and things like that, there are a lot of us that have been weakened by this easy fluff of a market that we faced 2020, 2021, 2022. But as things have gotten harder, you get to use those hard times to strengthen yourself, to strengthen your skills, strengthen your brand, and ultimately create a better time for you. And I'm going to play this video. It's a 2-minute clip, so bear with me here. Here's a 5-second ad for you.
Alex, there's no audio.
It's not going through.
The audio is not playing.
Damn. Okay, can you guys see?
Can you put the link in the chat?
Yeah, I will.
Chance?
Yes, sir. I will do that. Essentially, what the premise of the clip is, and I'm bummed this won't go through because it's a killer.
Put it in there as quickly as you can. The only reason I say that way, like if it's at the end, people might not get it.
Sure.
If you can.
Yep, I'm gonna do it right now.
And while you're doing that, Alex, one of the things you were just talking about is do you believe owning real estate like at your core is a wise investment? How, like, obviously you have two things. You have your personal residence, and then you also have investment properties. How much further do you think that conviction goes for people who are investing in real estate as well?
Yeah, so that's a good question, John. And look, if I am talking to a client and they ask the question, I'm sending why is it doing this? There. Sorry about that. If somebody's asking the question or they're hemming and hawing about the market, I've purchased 7 rental doors in 2023. So what better to say that you believe that is a great time to buy than having a proven track record of doing it? And so maybe you say, I'm not in a financial position to buy, but you know people that have bought and sold in the market and done very well. In addition to that, you have clients that you get to tell those stories. You have team members. You can tell them. You could tell anybody that you work with that there's an agent out of Indianapolis, Indiana, who works with a team that sold 187 houses this year. That's a ton of houses if the market doesn't make sense to buy or sell. And the team lead himself bought 7 doors. So in addition to that, you can tell the story of your own client that went out there and how they negotiated a deal, or how did the seller get multiple offers. And you get to tell those stories, which create the level of conviction that it takes to help somebody feel comfortable or shy away from the market today. Does that answer your question, John?
It does. And I even want to add to that, and I'm going to keep going back to this just because our experience has been so powerful with having James Harnsberger on some of our masterminds. You kind of mentioned about, well, I might not be in a position to do it. I think, proximity is power. I say this all the time. And if we're connected to the right people, we're able to maybe do some things that we might not be able to do if we don't have those connections. And James has been phenomenal in a very short period of time with our alignment with him, of helping people see a possibility just by having things structured properly tax-wise. So, guys, if you haven't been on our masterminds the last couple of weeks, I would encourage you, and I'm gonna show this again. And Alex, if you could give me screen share rights, because you've got the host stuff right now. If you guys can go to our masterminds, if you see this one right here, advanced tax, this one and this one, I would watch this one first. If you weren't here the last couple of weeks, I would watch this one first and this one after, because James basically gives the secret away to how, even in today's environment, you could, you could get your clients the effective interest rate of lower than 3% in today's market. For those people out there that's saying, well, there's not a way because rates are too high, there is a way. You just have to be willing to do a little bit more homework. Alex, Jennifer, did I answer your question? Jennifer asks, where can I find it? I just went to our YouTube channel. Is that what you're asking about, Jennifer? Yep. I hope that is.
She said she's asking, John, it looks like she has a question about the baby stuff. So Drew can get that in here. That would be great.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, Drew put the information about the baby stuff in. Drew or Rob did. Somebody did. Yeah, so if you want access to that, text Drew at 317-491-5930 for those of you guys who might be on a cell phone. I'm going to say that again just so you can take it down. It's 317-491-5930. As a matter of fact, what we can do is, we have a Zoom user interested in the ways to pay less in interest. Yeah, so here's what I'll do. I'm going to put those in the chat. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to put them in order. Let me just open this up real quick here. Welcome everybody. Happy Monday. Give me 1 second. I want to put these in the chat. Yeah, guys, these were some of our most powerful masterminds we've done since we've been doing this. Here we go. That one we did about 3 weeks ago, and then this one we did last week. And in the second one, James actually has a welcome everybody. He actually has a spreadsheet that he can demo to your client and show your client some of the tax savings that they might not be thinking about if they structure their deal properly. We had one of our agents, Nate from Ohio. Like I said earlier, for some of you guys that came on later, we had one of our agents, Nate from Ohio, had his client get on the phone with James. For those of you guys who don't know, James is an enrolled agent, which is the highest level tax professional that you can be. He works direct. He's licensed by the IRS to work with clients on behalf of clients directly with the IRS. And James got on the phone with Nate's client and was able to walk him through some numbers, and it made sense for him to put an offer in on his first investment property, which went under contract over the weekend. If you would like to see the spreadsheet, you have to set an appointment with James so he can kind of show you that. But you can actually see him do a demo on the Zoom. So that will be on there as well. And I've put both of them. Oops, that's not the right one. I'll put both of them in the chat, but I'll do that before we get. But anyway, Alex, thank you very much. You were awesome, like always. Always leading with value and just sharing from your heart. And that's what makes you successful with your clients. And that's what makes you a great leader as a real estate agent. And Tracy Wiggins says she had an appointment with James and his team, and it went amazing. So thank you, Tracy, for your feedback. I know you'll be working with your clients as well to try to help them get things to the next level. Let me just see, is this the right one? Let me see. Okay, here's the second one. So anyway, guys, next week, let me just pull this up here. Next week on next week's Mastermind, we're switching gears a little bit. We have Brian Hamilton from Chicago Title going to come on. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to play a little intro about what we're going to be talking about next week, which is the cost of waiting. How many of you guys, because of rates, have clients that are talking about, well, I'm going to wait till spring. I want to see what rates do. Well, here's how you get around that. Here's from Brian.
Hey, Brian Hamilton here with Chicago Title. Do you have clients that feel frozen by today's real estate market? Maybe it's the emotion of a low rate on a current mortgage, or they can't stomach paying 7% interest. Or maybe you have a first-time homebuyer that's just trying to time the market perfect. Well, a lot of this ends up being a math and communication issue. Join me on December 11th, and I'm going to show you how to resolve both those issues with our new buy now versus buy later calculator. As we all know, inventory is low, demand's high, so home values have continued to grow. And the experts agree home values are going to continue to grow in the near future. So join me on December 11th, and I'll give you the tools to help your clients see how today's rates, appreciation, and rates in the future affect them now and down the road. If you want to get a head start, go ahead to your mobile app store and download Chicago Agent One. I look forward to meeting you on December 11th.
Awesome. So we'll have him next week at 11 a.m. Central Time at the same link, www.realtormastermind.live. And
Hey, John, can I say something?
yes, please, Laura.
Hey, so I had introduced Brian Hamilton to the group, and I've met with him. I've known him for years. And this app, I mean, it's not just your normal thing, the buy now and all that. It's incredible. The stuff that's on there, it's $10 a year for it to begin with. It's got your typical calculators for mortgages and amortizations and all that kind of stuff. But he's got a couple other things on that app that are incredible. And when you put together these numbers to show your client what the cost of waiting is costing them, no matter what the rates are today, it moves them off the fence, buyers and sellers. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the group, because that's what we're all looking to do, is get people off the fence right now. And I'm telling you, be on next week, because this is really going to help you a lot.
Thanks, Laura. And thanks for connecting us with him. We're super excited for next week and what next week is going to bring. So join us next week, same time, same link, and bring a friend. Don't come by yourself. Bring a friend. Share the information. This is Open Agents from any brokerage. There's no cost to attend, and we'd love to have more agents because we want to lift up the profession. Guys, that's it for today, unless anybody has any more questions. Laura, do you have the name of the app? Kim's asking. You're muted.
I just popped it in the chat.
Okay. Laura's going to put it in the chat. So we'll stay on for a minute or two after we close up, just in case anybody wants to grab that. And I did put, Jacob, you were asking about information for James. I put the link we have set up on our GrowGlobal page where you can actually go on the website and book an appointment with him. So that will be available. And we also actually have the first mastermind there as well. So you can actually watch it from there or the YouTube channel. But Alex, thanks again. Great job. You're always a rock star, brother, and appreciate everything you do. And we appreciate everybody here who showed up today. So we'll see you next week, and God bless. Take care. Thanks for coming.